So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, folks, welcome back to the podcast. Very excited to have as my guest, Yuri Elkaim. Yuri, welcome.
What's going on, Guy? Thanks for being here. Thank you for having me here. I've been on
Awesome.
calls all morning. I'm just trying to get my head around this again.
No worries. Glad you're here. So
Yeah.
Yuri is a New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and the founder and CEO of Healthpreneur. His journey into health and business was inevitable. After dealing with a host of health issues as a teenager, he eventually lost all of his hair at 17 years old to an autoimmune condition. This, along with his passion for sports, which led him down the path of playing professional soccer in his early 20s, propelled him into the health and fitness field. Yuri's authentic and caring approach allowed him to build a successful online health empire that went to help more than 500,000 people to better health, while providing him the platform to write 3 best-selling books and sharing his message on major media outlets like Dr. Oz and The Doctors. With Healthpreneur, Yuri and his world-class team of coaches help health professionals and coaches leverage the internet to turn their expertise into high 6 and 7-figure virtual practices that create transformative results for more people without the grind. Yuri, welcome.
Thank you for the intro. It's very nice.
Yeah. Intense bio, amazing bio. Before we get going though, share with the listeners where you're from originally and where you are currently.
Born and raised in Toronto, Canada, and I live just outside Toronto, Canada.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in here. So, how did all this start for you?
Well, like you said, I lost my hair when I was 17 to an autoimmune condition, and that was a really big wake-up call because I was very fit and active as a teenager, but I didn't realize there was a difference between being fit and being healthy until I lost all my hair in the space of 6 weeks. And that was a really big, why did that happen? So it led me down this path of wanting to pursue studies in just how the body works and then eventually nutrition. And, for several years, going from practitioner to practitioner, trying to find answers to why this might have happened and how to solve it. And unfortunately, I didn't really get answers that I was hoping for because a lot of the approaches were very allopathic. So the traditional medical system, they wanted to inject cortisone in my head. I'm like, there's got to be a better solution to this. So all of that happened for me because it allowed me to get down this rabbit hole of health. And I ended up going to school for kinesiology and health sciences. And I went back to school for holistic nutrition. I wanted to put into practice the stuff I was learning because I'd actually regrown my hair. And just by kind of cleaning up my act, my body was polluted, and I just learned how to clean everything up. Um, but 10 years later, I lost it all again after getting a tetanus shot, but that's a story for another day. But ultimately, I noticed the difference in myself and I wanted to help other people. And then I started working as a trainer and nutritionist, did that for 7 years, got burnt out working 14 hours a day. And then in 2005, I was like, maybe I could share this with more people. And at the time, the internet was just becoming a thing. So that's kind of that was the initial step forward onto the online side of things. I had no clue what I was doing, but after many years of struggling on my own, I eventually got some coaching and feedback and support. And then that was my first business online that we built, the stuff you said. And then about 7 years ago, a lot of people in our space, other practitioners and coaches, were asking me for business advice because they had seen the growth that we had had. And I was like, maybe there's a gap in the marketplace here, like a lot of amazing health professionals that just don't know how to build a business. And I was like, I think that's true because I was one of them.
Right.
And then I figured it out. And that's how Healthpreneur was born, was really out of the impetus of if we could help other health professionals and coaches build better businesses, then they can help more people. And then collectively, we can all help more people. And so that's really why I moved into fully focused on Healthpreneur. I sold the previous company years ago, and that's where we are now.
So let's go back just a little bit. So 17, you lose your hair, which is a really unfortunate time. Obviously, there's probably no fortunate time, but you're 17, you're super young. You said there was a difference. You were fit, but you weren't necessarily healthy, and there's a difference. Talk to us about that.
It's weird because when you're young, you think you can get away with everything. So I would eat McDonald's before soccer matches. Like that's, I thought it was like, it didn't impact my performance. If I did the same thing when I was in my mid 30s, I'd be falling asleep on the field. So I think, like there's a saying that says like the youth is wasted on the young. It was kind of like that. It's like you can get away with murder as a teenager, food wise, health wise, and still be somewhat performant. So I think that masked a lot of stuff that was happening in my body, but I was tired a lot. Like I slept 50% of my life up until 23. And I thought it was just because I was so active and playing soccer at a very high level. I'm like, oh, I must be just recovering.
Hmm.
And then I realized I'm like, hold on, hold on. Like, because I started to clean things up and then I was sleeping like 6 hours a night and jumping out of bed in the morning. I was like, hold on. Like there's a very big difference here. And I didn't realize how good you can feel until I felt how good you can feel. And then I was like, oh my God, like, man, like all those years I was exhausted. I started piecing everything together. So for me, being exhausted all the time was a warning sign that something far more dangerous was brewing beneath the surface. My body was so tired because it was spending so much energy on repairing junk and fighting off viruses and bacteria and dealing with all the nonsense inside my body. So I was like, it would be like if a lot of that stuff was not there to begin with, maybe I would have more energy for other things. And
Hmm.
that's kind of the puzzle I started piecing together as I went down this rabbit hole of learning about how the body works, learning about nutrition, and then really experiencing it for myself and then being able to share that with others and seeing what it did for them. So
You talked about uh, having a job, getting burned out. What Talk to us about that time and when you realize, what, maybe I need to go in it, or I can go in a different direction, a healthier direction.
yeah, I think when you're in a service-based business, whether you're a therapist, coach, accountant, lawyer, you get paid based on the amount of time you put in. Like it's a treadmill, like it's a hamster wheel of time for money, time for money. And I remember one morning I was actually driving to a client's condo because I was training them in their condo. And it's like middle of the winter, 6 a.m. in the morning. I shoveled my car of snow, drove across the city, and I parked in their underground parking. And I'm looking at the concrete wall in front of me. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, this is not the life I want to live. It was not a life that was designed by choice. It was by necessity. It was I had to do this, not I want to do this.
Mm.
And so I remember vividly that moment. I'm sitting in the car for a couple minutes. I'm like, this is nonsense. Like I can't keep doing this. Like I loved working with my clients, but it was like from 6 in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. And I'd have like an hour or two during the day for lunch or a bit of a break. And I was making little to nothing. And I'm like, I was just not like just I remember working with clients and I'm looking at my watch half the time. I'm like, this is not how I should be living my days. And so I knew that number one, this is before I had kids. Now I have 4 kids. I knew looking forward, I'm like, I don't want to do this when I've got a family. I can't do this when I have a family. And so I started making decisions that would set me up for a better future. And part of that was I have to do something different. And at the time, I was working with a mindset coach who suggested just creating a website. And this is just when the internet was becoming a thing. I had no idea what a website was. I had no clue what that would look like. And, we put something together. It was kind of shitty, but it was there. Obviously, no one finds it on the internet. I didn't know how to market and get the word out, but I just started putting one foot in front of the other. And I didn't know what it was going to look like. I had no clarity, but I got clarity by moving forward and by just kind of like, it's like driving in fog. You get clarity the further you drive in fog. And that's kind of the steps I took was even though I was 12, 14 hours a day with clients, I would take 1 hour during the day. This is back in 2005 now, 2006. And I would just put that 1 hour for myself. I'd lock myself into a room and I would just start creating stuff for this eventual online business. And when I
Mm.
say creating, I mean writing an article for a blog or starting to piece together a product. And I didn't know what all this was going to look like, but I knew that I just had to start doing something. And that eventually got me going. But the first 3 years online, I was making poverty line income. because I had no direction. I had no idea what I was doing. And I thought I could figure it out by myself, and I didn't. So eventually I hired a coach and got some guidance, got a better system. And, that started to really allow things to unfold. And I started to build the skills that are necessary to run a business. And so I'm a very slow learner, I've realized. So it took me a long time to get out of my own way. But, that's how it all started because I had a vision for what I wanted to create. I didn't know exactly what I was like, how I was going to get there. I just knew I had
Hmm.
something bigger that I wanted to create. And I said, F it. I got to do stuff and I got to move in that direction.
Now, this was the business before Healthpreneur.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But it sounded like you made a lot of good decisions. I mean, you got frustrated and you took some action and you got some coaching. You did a lot of good things. It's interesting. You're hearing you talk. Obviously, a lot of the listeners here in the mental health space, therapists of all kinds. I mean, by virtue of the profession, it's trading dollars for time.
Yeah.
You know, so Healthpreneur is born. What did you want to do? What was the goal for Healthpreneur or is for Healthpreneur?
Yeah. My goal has always been to help a billion people transform their lives. I don't know why it's a billion. It could be 950 million, but a billion sounds cool. So in my previous business, that was me, or let's just say the business to the consumer. And it was, although I had leverage because of the internet and all that stuff, it was still limited. I'm like, cool. We helped 500,000 people through our products and services, and it was cool. But with Healthpreneur, I figured I could have even more leverage because if I can help other practitioners become better at what they do from a business perspective, then they can reach more people. And then collectively, we can reach even more people than I could in my previous business. So that's always been the goal with Healthpreneur has been, I mean, my whole mission in life really is to just be someone who transforms lives at scale. And that's always been important to me. Because I feel like a lot of people go through life, whether it's health, business, finances, relationships, in a very mediocre way. And
Mhm.
I've never really understood that. And maybe that's part of my problem is like, it is what it is in some cases. But if I can do my part to inspire others and show them a way to become the best version of themselves, whether that's health, their business, themselves fully expressed, that's really important to me. So with Healthpreneur, there's so many amazing therapists, practitioners, coaches who are just burning, like they're just burning out because of the system, the model that we've all been taught. And there are better ways to help people, right? And I'm not saying like therapy is not useful, obviously it is, but there are other ways that therapists or practitioners or coaches can support their clients that doesn't necessarily require them to be trading time for money. And in some cases, that means we've had many therapists, some of our best clients are therapists who have single-handedly made the decision to put on the coach hat as opposed to the therapist hat. They find it's more empowering for their clients and the work that they do as opposed to working exclusively as a therapist. And
Right.
it's not us to tell them to do that because we can support them in either fashion. It's just they have found that it's a much more empowering process for them and their clients in a coaching relationship as opposed to like a therapy relationship. So it's just about, being open-minded to different ways of supporting others and different ways of building a business. And I think being open-minded is really important because, times are changing. Like for us, we've always been waving the flag of virtual practice, the power of coaching, and obviously COVID sped a lot of that up. But if you look at online dating, it was no way. There's no way people can do that 20 years ago. And now it's like the single number one way that everyone meets their spouse.
Yeah.
So, I just I encourage everyone to just be open-minded to the fact that the only constant in life is change. And we have to be open-minded to evolve. Otherwise, we get stuck in old ways that may not support us.
Yeah, this topic is really interesting to me because I don't think I know a lot of therapists just don't have a business background and they
Yeah.
don't know what the hell to do. The whole topic of discussion of becoming a therapist versus becoming a coach is a good one too. But people listening to this are thinking, okay, I'm a therapist. What are you gonna what are what am I gonna do? What do you have for me, Yuri? What are these other things that I possibly could do? I'm seeing clients from, early in the morning till late at night.
Mhm.
What am I gonna do? What else can I do?
Well, it depends on what it is you want to do. So are we talking about like growing revenue, growing impacts? Like what would the outcome?
Okay, so let's say a therapist listening sees what, six, seven, eight clients. Yeah, they want to generate more revenue.
Yeah.
But how are they going to do that without seeing as many clients, for example?
So the number one bottleneck in a service-based business is the delivery. Because if you can only work one-on-one, then you can only work so many hours in a day before you're like, I physically can't do it anymore. So the first thing you have to be open to considering is one of two things. Either the delivery model has to change because you can't change your income unless you change the model, or you significantly increase your prices. Like those are the only two things you can do to make more money. So let's look at price aside. How do we change the model? Well, one thing to consider is, again, and this would obviously invoke a bit of a shift from therapy to coaching, is instead of working one to one, maybe it's one to many. And now you can work with 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 clients at the same time. And in order to do that, you have to really narrowly define the target market because it's hard to work with 20 clients if they at the same time on the same path if they all have different issues, right? So the first thing we help our clients do is really identify who do they want to be a hero to? What specific problem do they enjoy solving the most, right? We've got as an example, one of our clients has done very, very well in sex addiction, porn addiction. And he's obviously in the past worked with many different types of clients outside of that, but he decided because he had a bit of a background with that himself that he could serve that audience and he had. So he's like, I will be this type of coach. And so the decision he made was to move away from being a therapist to actually coaching people through that process. And now he works with 30, 40 clients at a given time. And
Hmm.
instead of seeing 30 to 40 patients on a 1 hour basis every week, he's built a curriculum that they all go through on their own because it addresses a lot of the stuff they go through, anyways. He gets them together for group coaching calls once or twice a week to support them, answer questions, and so forth. And if you still want to incorporate any degree of one on one, you can certainly do that. I would recommend in the form of office hours, which would be, for instance, you determine a block of time, let's say once a week or once every 2 weeks, call it 2 hours, and you have 20-minute time slots, and your clients can book in a 20-minute slot one on one. And what we found is like there's in my 7 years of doing this and helping thousands of practitioners and therapists, there's not been a single case where their clients have not gotten better results in a group setting compared to one-on-one. Now, obviously, there's clients that deal with more maybe PTSD or emotional stuff where they still have one-on-one as a very big component. But ultimately, it comes down to you as the therapist or the business owner to say, I get to choose what type of business I want to run. I get to choose what type of clients I want to serve. Like there's no like gun to my head saying you must work with everyone under the sun and only charge this and only do it this way. If you're open to an alternative, that's the first place is you change the model of how you deliver.
Hmm.
Because now delivery no longer becomes the sole bottleneck. You have more time. Typically our clients will buy back 25 to 33% of their time. So if you're working 40 hours a week, now it looks like 25 to 30 hours a week. And that's including, and that's not just client care, like that's actually marketing, admin, all the other stuff. So in a typical practice, most of the time is dealt with patients or clients, referrals, people fall into your lap. And there's not really much proactive business building. It's more of just a practice especially when you come online and you actually want to grow something that's going to be more impactful, you have to look at it as a business. Like no one's going to fall into your lap unless you still have a consistent stream of referrals. That's fine. But you have to proactively market yourself, which means you have to narrow down to a single target market
Right.
so people know what you stand for, you specialize in a certain area, and that allows your messaging to be on point. It allows your delivery to be a lot more streamlined. And that's how you start to allow yourself and your business to help more people. And your income is just the byproduct of the people you help. So naturally, by being able to help more people without one-on-one necessarily, you impact more lives, therefore you make more money. And that's really where it all starts, is making the decision to say, I am okay not trading time for money, and I can still serve clients in a really effective way if I don't trade time for money forever.
Yeah. Again, this is really exciting to me because I think a lot of therapists are, uh, quote unquote, caught in this treadmill. This
Yeah.
is the way business has been done, and therefore they're kind of putting themselves in this framework, and unfortunately, getting caught in it. What do you feel? You said you were a slow learner, but what do you feel is your unique gift in this area? Because obviously you have it,
Yeah.
something about it. What is it?
I mean, I think my unique gift is simplifying complexity. I mean, I think masters simplify complexity, amateurs complicate simplicity. And I think when you're doing something for as long as most of us have, you become very good at making complicated things relatively simple. I just happen to have done that now with business because I've been in business for 20 plus years. And before that, I was very, very good at that with health. Like I was very, very good at making health and body transformation very simple for people to understand and implement because I was very good at that, having done that for so long. So that's really what I do is I help, again, like most people coming into our world are experts at what they do. They're masters at simplifying mental health or a specific aspect of human health. But when it comes to business, it's like alphabet soup.
Mhm.
And what I do is I help them turn alphabet soup into legible words in a way that's fairly simple for them to do. And that just comes from experience and having been in the trenches for so long and having made an inordinate amount of mistakes and having wins along the way and learning. And I think that wisdom comes from experience times learning. So I would say I have a certain degree of wisdom from having been in this space for so long and then having learned from those experiences. And now I can share that with others so they don't have to make the same mistakes.
So once again, we're speaking with Yuri Elkaim. We're talking about healthpreneur. So people listening are like, I mean, if I was listening, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go to your site. What am I going to find? How can I engage? And what different ways could they possibly engage with your work?
Yeah. So there's a couple ways. Our main website is healthpreneurgroup.com. If you go there, the first thing you'll see is a button to watch our training. And if you want to understand how we help our clients build their business, I would just start there because it'll give you an understanding of how we help on the getting client side, and then obviously how to help those clients on the delivery side. And if obviously it makes sense and you want to take the next step, you can certainly book a call with our team and talk about, what that would look like. But even before that, you have to be open-minded to the fact that there's got to be a better way of doing things because I don't entertain conversations with people where they're like, sell me on why I should do this. I'm like, I'm not going to sell you on anything. You have to sell you on doing this, right? We'll have chiropractors reach out and like, you tell me how I can do this online. I'm like, no, no. We have lots of videos on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, Healthpreneur, we've got hundreds of videos where I give everything away for free. So if you want like everything, just go to YouTube. I've got hundreds of videos that will tell you everything you need to know. And then it's just a matter of like going through your own journey to say, am I willing to step out of the matrix? Right. I call it the
Mhm.
medical matrix because we have unfortunately all been bought or taught into a system that like burnout is the number one problem in our space. Like there's no practitioner or therapist that I have met who is successful and isn't burnt out,
Right.
unless they have a practice where other people work in the practice and they don't. But it's one of those things where the only way you can grow is to work more, and it's impossible to do both, right? So if you are open-minded to shifting how you're doing things and open to the idea that there are literally thousands of other people in your very situation who are thriving in business without killing themselves time for money, and their clients are achieving amazing results. Just understand that that reality is currently happening.
Yeah.
And it's your choice to say, do I want to be part of that, or do I want to be stuck in an old model? And if the old model's serving you, great. But I'm not here to sell you on the fact that you have to change. Like, you have to want that. So I think a good place to start is our YouTube channel. There's a lot of good stuff there. And then obviously I'm on Instagram. If you want to, hit me up in the DMs and say, hey, I heard you on Guy's show and I thought it was awesome. I'm at Healthpreneur on Instagram, and happy to have a conversation if it makes sense over there.
Okay. So let's say people are interested. They do want to make this change. Are you offering group coaching for them? Are you offering individual coaching or all the above? What?
Yeah. So if you become a client of ours, we offer more support than you can handle. So we offer up to 5 group coaching calls a day. So I just had a call before our interview here where I had 10 clients on the call. I have calls where there are 25, 30, 40 clients on the call, but most of our calls have a handful of clients on these calls. So we offer a very, very large volume of group calls around very specific areas in the business. So if you have a specific issue around X, we have a call for X, and several times a week. So you're always getting support. And we also have a good amount of one-on-one support as well, because, as much as the group stuff is great, there's still an opportunity for one-on-one to give clients a bit more personalized support. And we offer that as well. And our goal is really just like, we do as much as we possibly can to help our clients win. So we kind of consider it like adaptive coaching. It's not one-on-one. It's not just group. It's what do our clients, or what do specific clients need to help move forward? And some people, they don't need as much one-on-one. Some people need a little bit more, but nonetheless, we offer more support than people can handle. So that would be one of the things that they get in addition to a curriculum and step-by-step stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. All right. I know you said it. Say it again. What's the best way for people to reach out, get in touch with you?
I'd say, so again, if you want to just consume a bunch of content, YouTube at Healthpreneur is the best place to start. We have a lot of really cool resources as well to support you. So if you want something more specific, hit us up on Instagram. I'm at Healthpreneur. Just say, I saw you on Guy's show, and I'm happy to see how we can best support you there and, hook you up with some resources that might be valuable.
Awesome. All right, Yuri. Yeah. Super inspiring, much needed. Loved having you here. Love to have you back.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Thanks so much, Guy.
All right, man. Take care.